All right, so we're going to be solving equations with really large parentheses. Um, they look terrible, but really you're just going to follow the simple steps of doing order of operations backwards. And I already wrote it backwards for you, so hey, not bad. So we're going to look for ways to solve the equation, and we'll look to get rid of adding and subtracting first, then multiplying and dividing, exponents, and parentheses. We're going to work backwards. And that's because we're going to solve equations that look like this. So we have this big mess over here with the large parentheses. And they are kind of special because they do throw people off just because they're these huge parentheses. And that's why I specifically wanted to talk to you about them because there are quite a few in your assignment this week. So I didn't want to scare you too much. But let's just go through it. So when you look at this problem, what I want you to see it as a problem as 8 times a large parenthesis. So I have 8 being multiplied, and then here's a big parentheses. So look at your list. What comes first? Being the multiplication or the parentheses? Multiply. Parentheses is down here. So what am I going to get rid of first? Multiplication. And the opposite of multiplying by 8 is to divide by 8. So we're going to divide the left by 8 and then cross that wonderful equal sign and divide the right by 8. And 8 divided by 8 is 1, so we're just left with our big parentheses, and 40 divided by 8 is 5. So that's what we have left. And notice I dropped the parentheses because there's no reason for them anymore. They were there because it was like, hey, I've got this big answer times 8. Well, I just got rid of the times 8. I got it divided out. So it's okay, we're going to drop it. So I want you to think of this problem now as a big fraction, meaning a division problem, plus 5. So we look at it as a large division problem, see the big fraction, oh, and adding 5. So what do I come to first? There's adding and there's dividing. So I came to adding first on my backwards list, so I have to get rid of adding. And the opposite of adding 5 is to subtract 5 from both sides of the equal sign. So we're still doing those inverse operations. 5 take away 5 gives us a big fat 0, and I'm left with my fraction, technically a large division problem, equals 0. Okay, let's keep it going. Same thing. Now, we've talked before that you can think of this numerator as being in parentheses. So it's like this expression is in parentheses and I'm dividing that expression by 6. So I have parentheses and dividing by 6. What do I get rid of first? Okay, well, here's divide and here's parentheses. Well, I got to dividing first. So what's the opposite of dividing by 6? We're going to multiply the left by 6 and the right by 6. And 6 times 0 looks like we are still at 0. But now I just have the 2x minus 3. And now it should start looking pretty easy to solve because I'm left with multiplying and subtraction. Okay, well there's subtract and there's multiplying. So I'm going to get rid of my subtracting first by adding 3 to both sides. Oh good, we got something. 0 plus 3 is 3. And I'm left with 2x equals 3. And the opposite of multiplying by 2 is we divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1x equals 3 divided by 2. You could leave it as 3 halves. 3 halves is 1.5. It could be 1.5. Quite honestly, if you left it as 3 halves, I would not have a problem with it. All right, so that was one problem that we did. And we're just going to keep looking at order of operations backwards. And I wrote it backwards because I might as well help you out there. So when we take a look at our next problem, I'm just going to put it up in the corner here. Order of operation backwards, again, add and subtract, multiply, divide, exponents, and parentheses. Whoa, this problem just got a little bit bigger. So we have a very large set of parentheses, and a take away 10. So when we look at this problem, it's 2 times. So I've got multiplying, I've got a large parentheses, and I've got take away 10. So there's my takeaway, there's my multiply, there's my parentheses. What gets out first? The takeaway. So we're going to add 10 to both sides. The opposite of subtracting 10 is to add 10. And again, it's both sides of the equal sign. That's how you know where the sides are. I know they're not equally distributed, but that is the barrier. That is where everything is balanced. All the life is all balanced upon the equal sign. All right, 22 and 10 gives me 32. So we still have 2 times and a large set of parentheses. So here, times and a large set of parentheses. So since it's being multiplied 2 times something, the opposite of multiplying by 2 is we're going to divide the whole side on the left by 2 and this itty bitty side on the right by 2. But it keeps it in balance. 32 divided by 2 is 16. And now we've lost our parentheses because it was 2 times this whole quantity. Well, I got rid of multiplying by 2 because I moved it onto this side to keep the equation in balance. So I don't need the parentheses anymore. So look at this. What does it look like to you? All right. I'm hoping that you're starting to see that this is a fraction, but a fraction is nothing more than a division problem that we didn't finish yet. See, there's the division bar. So I have division or a fraction and plus 7. All right. Well, there's the plus and there's the divide. So I'm going to have to get rid of my adding first. So the opposite of adding 7 is we're going to subtract from both sides by 7. So subtract 7 and subtract 7, and 16 take away 7 is 9. So I still have my fraction, which is just an unfinished division problem. And again, because the numerator is an expression and not just a solo number, we consider the numerator to be in parentheses. All right, so we have parentheses and divide by 4. So look at our list. What comes first? Well, there's the divide, and parentheses is way down here, so I need to get rid of the dividing first. And the opposite of dividing by 4 is multiply by 4. So I multiply the left by 4, cross the equal sign, multiply the right by 4. 9 times 4 gives me that 36, and I have negative 2x take away 9 equals 36. It's like we're on the home stretch. It's like you can just speed through the final parts. Woohoo! Woohoo! All right, here we have a negative 2 times x, so I have multiplying, and I have take away 9. What do you get rid of first, multiplying or subtraction? That's right. The opposite of subtracting 9, we're going to add 9 to both sides of our equal sign. 36 plus 9 is 45. Still have my negative 2x, which is negative 2 times x. And the opposite of multiplying by negative 2 is to divide by negative 2. And of course, negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1x. And 45 divided by negative 2, it's a positive divided by a negative. So we know the answer is negative. And 2 does not go evenly into 45. So we're going to have a decimal or a fraction left. So we'll have x equals negative 22.5 or negative 22.5. Either way works for me. Again, I think the part about walking you through these problems is having you visualize what each part means. And if you can see, oh, what does that parenthesis mean? Oh, there's a number next to parentheses. It means to multiply. Okay. And what does that dividing bar mean or that fraction bar mean? And just knowing how to pick it apart. So let's do it again. All together now. Okay. So we have 9. And what does it mean when a number's next to parentheses? Times. So we have 9 being multiplied by a large set of parentheses. And we have take away 3. So there's the subtract, there's the multiply, there's the parentheses. So we have to get rid of subtracting first. Okay. How do you get rid of subtracting? Do the opposite. Do the opposite. The opposite of subtracting 3 is we need to add 3 to both sides of the equal sign. Yay! 42 plus 3 gives me a 45. So that's the only thing that changed. We got rid of the take away 3 and I got a 45 now. So we have 9 times and a large set of parentheses. Again, there's multiplying and a parenthesis. So let's comes first, multiply, multiply. Got to do the opposite of multiplying by 9. And the opposite of multiplying by 9 is to divide by 9. So we're going to divide this whole right side, excuse me, that's the left side, this whole left side by 9 and this whole right side by 9. 45 divided by 9 is 5 and 9 divided by 9 is 1, so we have got rid of that whole thing. So we are left with just the heart of the parentheses, which is right here. But we're not done yet, because now that we're down to just this parentheses part, it's like we're starting over. All right, so I have a divide by 6 and I have a plus 7. What do we get rid of first? Well, there's the plus, there's the divide, so I have to get rid of my plus 7. How do you get rid of adding 7? The opposite of adding 7 is to subtract 7. So we're going to subtract 7 from both sides of the equal sign. Aw, man. 5 take away 7? Come on, you can do it. Negative 2. Well done. Again, whenever you see an expression in a numerator, it's like it's in parentheses. You can't touch it. So we have a numerator, 5x minus 8, divided by 6. So I have parentheses and divide by 6. What do I get rid of first? So let's see here. I have divide and parentheses. You've got to get rid of the dividing first. I want this to be a habit for you. What's the opposite of dividing by 6? That's right, multiply. We multiply this whole right side by 6 and the left side by 6, and negative 2 times 6, that's a negative times a positive, is a negative 12. Very good. Now we're at the easy part. Yes! I've got multiplying and subtraction. We all know, get rid of the subtraction. How? The opposite of subtracting 8 is? We're going to add 8. That's right, add 8 to both sides. So I have my 5x equals negative 12 plus 8 gives me negative 4. So 5 times x, so the opposite of multiplying by 5 is divide by 5. And 5 divided by 5 is 1, so I'm left with my 1x. And negative 4 divided by 5 is negative 4/5, or an unfinished division problem. You could also divide it out to be a decimal. It does go in evenly, so it's negative 0.8. Either answer, 100% correct for me. Hopefully you're seeing the parts as we're walking through this together. And maybe you keep pausing it every 5 seconds to go, okay, let me try it. Okay, let me write it down. And that is just fine. So I want you to practice one more on your own. It follows the same pattern that we did before. Yes, I did add another negative in there, but it's okay. Pause it for a few minutes. I want you to work through the entire problem. And if you get stuck, just stop, turn it back on. And then when you get unstuck, pause it again, finish it on your own, and then come back, okay? So whatever works for you, is I really do want you to develop some confidence in solving these problems. So here we go. So pause it now. I'll see you in a minute. And welcome back to solving this problem together. Well, you already solved it. You're just going to see if I got it right. And if I didn't get it right, could you email me so I can fix it? All right, so what do we have? We have a negative 3 being multiplied by a big set of parentheses and a take away 10. So I have multiplying, parentheses, and take away 10. Okay, order of operation backwards. You're right, take away 10 has to go, and the opposite of subtracting 10 is add 10. So we add 10 to both sides of the equal sign. And negative 10 plus 10 is 0, so it's gone. And 80 plus 10 is 90. All right, so let's analyze it. I've got negative 3 times and a big set of parentheses. So we have multiplying and a big set of parentheses. What do we get rid of first? The multiplying. And the opposite of multiplying by negative 3 is divide by negative 3. And you do both sides of the equal sign dividing by negative 3. And 90 divided by negative 3 is negative 30. Now we don't have parentheses anymore. We have this division problem and take away 20. What do you get rid of first? The division problem or the take away 20? Order of operation backwards says I've got to do my take away 20. Can't touch my division problem until I get rid of my take away 20. The opposite of subtracting 20 is add 20. Add 20. Negative 30 plus 20, signs aren't the same, so I'm really subtracting, is negative 10. All right. We've talked about this before. When you have an expression in your numerator, it's like it's in parentheses, so might as well just put it there if that helps you. So I have parentheses and divide by 5. So what do I get rid of first, parentheses or divide by 5? Correct. We have to get rid of the divide by 5. The opposite of dividing by 5, we multiply by 5. And that way negative 10 times 5 is negative 50. Oh my gosh, we are so close. All right, I have x plus 10. We only have one step left. The opposite of adding 10 is to subtract. Subtract. Negative 50 take away 10 is negative 60. Oh my gosh, if I had applause on my computer that you could hear, it would be applauding right now. So hopefully you can hear me clapping. So we did it. Nice job. Just walk yourself through these problems. If you need me to post a few more how-tos on this, drop me an email. I'm here to help. You can do it. Go algebra. Go order of operations backwards so you can solve it. Have a great day.